What if I told you there is a plant that history tried to ban? 500 years ago, when the Spanish conquistadors marched into the Andes, they found a root that terrified them. They did not fear it because it was poisonous. They feared it because of what it did to a man's mind. The rumors whispered that this tuber was a chemical weapon designed to silence the male libido. They called it the anti-Viagra of the ancient world. They believed the Inca emperors fed it to their armies not to strengthen them, but to suppress them, to turn wild warriors into focused, obedient monks who had no desire for women or rebellion. But the Spanish missed a crucial detail. Mashua wasn't just a suppressant, it was high-octane fuel. Unlike the starchy potato, Mashua is packed with nearly double the protein. It didn't just quiet their minds, it built their muscles. It was the perfect sustenance for an army marching across the Andes. Yet terrified by this threat to their virility, the Europeans erased it from the menu. They declared it unfit for consumption. They left it to rot in the frozen earth. For centuries, we thought they were right. We thought this plant was a curse. But what if they were wrong? What if the very chemical trait that scared the conquistadors is actually the key to surviving a modern medical crisis? What if this forbidden root is not a destroyer of men, but the ultimate biological shield against cancer? Why would you plant a crop that history calls a chemical castrator? The answer will change the way you look at your garden forever. Welcome to Ancestral Soil. Before we travel back to the frozen peaks of the Inca Empire, I need to tell you why you need this plant in your soil today. We are not going to wait until the end of this video to give you the secret. We are going to break the taboo right now. Let's look at the medical reality. If you are a man over 50, or if you love a man over 50, you know the silent enemy. It is called benign prostatic hyperplasia, the swelling of the prostate. It is a slow, painful crisis that affects millions of men in the modern world, turning their golden years into a cycle of discomfort and fear. Modern medicine treats this with heavy pharmaceuticals, but the Inca had Mashua. Here is the irony that the Spanish missed. The legends were partially true. This plant does interact with male hormones, but it does not destroy you. Scientific studies from leading universities in Peru have revealed that the specific compounds in Mashua, the ones that made the Europeans run away, act as a biological brake. They inhibit the mechanisms that cause prostate cells to multiply out of control. It is not a poison, it is a guardian. The ancients didn't have microscopes, but they understood the effect. They used it to cool the body. Today, we know that this cooling effect is a potent anti-inflammatory shield. It is nature's answer to a swollen system. And the cleaning power goes deeper. In traditional Andean medicine, this root wasn't just for men, it was a master diuretic, used to flush toxins from the kidneys and clear the urinary tract. They even crushed the raw tubers to apply on skin infections and wounds. It cleanses you from the inside out. But the power of Mashua isn't just for the body, it is a weapon for the soil itself. If you were a gardener, you know the heartbreak of nematodes. These are the microscopic worms that live underground, invisible assassins that destroy your tomatoes, your potatoes, and your eggplants from the roots up. You cannot see them, you only see your harvest dying. You can buy toxic chemicals to fumigate your soil, or you can plant Mashua. This plant is a mercenary. Its roots secrete a powerful chemical called isothiocyanate. It is the same compound found in mustard gas, but synthesized by nature. When you plant Mashua, it performs bio-fumigation. It actively gases the soil, hunting down the nematodes, fungi, and weeds that try to strangle your garden. It cleanses the earth so that your other crops can live. It defends your body against inflammation. It defends your soil against parasites. So if this plant is such a miraculous healer, why was it branded as a food for the poor and pushed to the brink of extinction? To understand that tragedy, we must look at the mistake that destroyed its reputation. We must go back to the source. The archive opens in the high Andes, over 500 years ago. At 12,000 feet, where the mighty corn crop fails and the potato struggles, Waves of bright orange flowers thrive. This was Mashua. To Inca strategists, this plant was military technology. Legends tell us the emperors ordered it for their troops not for calories, but for control. They believed Mashua dampened the libido, silencing the fiery passions of men to turn wild warriors into disciplined soldiers. It was the food of conquest. But the Spanish conquistadors, obsessed with machismo and virility, were horrified. When they heard this root could unman a warrior and tasted its sharp medicinal bite, unlike the submissive wheat of Europe, they saw a biological threat. They branded it comida de indios, food for the poor. While the potato was crowned king and spread across the globe, Mashua was pushed into the shadows. It survived only in the frozen peaks, kept alive by grandmothers who knew something the conquistadors did not. They knew that the poison was actually the cure. Now, let's strip away the myths and look at the chemistry. The reason Mashua tastes so sharp, that peppery burn, is due to a high concentration of isothiocyanates. It is the same compound found in broccoli and mustard, but here nature has concentrated it into a weapon. Think of isothiocyanates as a natural chemotherapy. Studies confirm these compounds act as potent bactericides. They don't just sit in your stomach, they hunt. They destroy Helicobacter pylori, the cause of ulcers, and E. coli. In a world before antibiotics, this root was a survival kit. But we must address the testosterone myth. Was the Spanish fear justified? The honest truth? Yes. Research on rat models shows that high consumption of raw Mashua can indeed lower testosterone levels and sperm count. The Inca were not imagining it. The chemistry is real. But what acts as a poison for a young man wanting a family acts as a miracle for an older man fighting for his quality of life. This brings us to the prostate. Benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH, is like an engine running too hot, causing tissue to swell. Mashua's anti-androgenic properties act as a cooling system. By gently inhibiting these hormonal drivers, it reduces inflammation. It turns down the volume on the disease. And that's not all. The purple and black varieties are packed with anthocyanins, master antioxidants. In the high Andes, Mashua was the only barrier against scurvy, often doubling the vitamin C potency of a lemon. The conquistadors were wrong. They threw away a superfood that protected the stomach, boosted immunity, and guarded the prostate. However, one final barrier remains. Fresh Mashua is spicy. It tastes like a radish dipped in pepper. How you turn medicine into a meal your family will love? The answer lies in tayacha, an ancient culinary alchemy that turns this spicy root into dessert. To eat Mashua raw is to take medicine. To eat it as food, you must transform it using the ancient secret of tayacha. You don't need a laboratory, you just need the sky. After harvest, leave the tubers exposed to the elements. Let the high-altitude sun bake them by day and the frost freeze them by night. A chemical miracle happens. The UV rays break down the sharp isothiocyanates, evaporating the mustard flavor. The freezing cold forces starches to convert rapidly into sugars. The bitterness vanishes. When cooked, these cured tubers taste like molasses and honey, a high-energy comfort food that fueled an empire. Now, the final strategy, intercropping. Do not just plant for food, plant for defense. Mashua acts as a natural soil fumigant, repelling pests that kill your delicate potatoes and tomatoes. It requires no pesticides. It laughs at weeds. While it stands guard above, its roots silently clean the earth below. But here is the secret that modern gardeners love most. You don't have to wait for the harvest to eat. Mashua is a zero-waste plant. The leaves are edible, adding a spicy, spinach-like crunch to your salads. And those vibrant orange flowers, they are not just for decoration. They are a peppery delicacy that attracts pollinators while the plant repels pests. It feeds you from leaf to flower to root. We have traded ancient wisdom for industrial convenience.
But the soil remembers. Mashua is waiting to heal your garden from nematodes and protect your body from inflammation. The seed is the capsule of the past. The harvest is the promise of the future. Find the seeds. Plant the shield. I am your narrator, and this is Ancestral Soil.